Everybody, welcome back to the Working Man's Whiskey. I'm Bobby. Wanted to do a review today. It's Sunday, kind of a cold day outside. We got football on the TV. My team is pretty bad this year. As you can see, I play some fantasy football. Shirt says Fantasy Football Legend. You would think otherwise from my team's record this year. Not going so well for me. So anyway, no big deal to take some time out from the games on TV, and do a whiskey review. And got a pretty special one here today, guys. It's Old Weller Antique, and it's 107 proof. I want to, in the next few reviews I do, let's say the next 4, including this one, I'd like to review a couple wheated whiskeys, which this one is. This one's a wheated whiskey, and then a couple of ryes too. I feel like I've reviewed a lot of just straight bourbons, with the standard corn, rye, and malted barley mash bills, which are great. I mean, that's your standard bourbon right there. And Tennessee whiskeys, things like that, they're all pretty standard with that kind of mash bill. So I just wanted to change it up a little bit. Check out some more wheated whiskeys. We've already done a couple wheated whiskeys, Maker's Mark and Larceny. But this one I got here today, this is Old Weller, as I said, Old Weller Antique, 107 proof, and pretty special stuff. William LaRue Weller, which gives the whiskey its name, W.L. Weller, is considered by a lot of people to be kind of the godfather of the wheated bourbon. Back in 1849, they say he was the first one to make wheated bourbon instead of a bourbon with rye. And what a wheated bourbon is, of course, is they use wheat as the secondary grain behind corn instead of rye as the secondary grain. So, the wheat, as I've said before, tends to give a bourbon kind of a softer flavor, a feel in the mouth. It's just softer. It tends to make it seem a little thicker, a little kind of velvety, which to me is a nice feeling to have when you're drinking a bourbon. This one at 107 proof tends to give. It's a warm whiskey, I'll say that. A lot of people say it's hot. It's warm. It's to me perfect for a cold day like this. I mean, it's just you get those like baking spices and all that in there, as we'll find out. But I want to give a little history behind W.L. Weller. As I said, William LaRue Weller was the first to introduce wheat into bourbon, according to many people anyway. Some might disagree, but anyway, W.L. Weller formed a bond, I guess, or they combined companies with the guys that were putting out Pappy Van Winkle's original product, and that was I believe that was the early 1900s that they combined, late 1800s, early 1900s. Sorry, I'm not having that year, guys, but anyway, what makes it so special is Pappy's kind of adopted the mash bill from Weller, and this right here is the same exact mash bill that makes up Pappy Van Winkle. And as we know, Pappy Van Winkle is considered kind of sort of like the holy grail of bourbon, if you will. And they use the exact same mash bill. They say you can actually mix this Old Weller Antique here with some Kentucky limestone water, and age it in a small bourbon barrel for like a month, and you'll have what they call poor man's pappy. Pretty much pretty close to the real deal, which is pretty great. I mean, that's probably the closest I'll get to having a bottle of Pappies someday, and hopefully down the line we can do that on this review or on this channel. But for now, we have the Old Weller Antique. We'll open it up. We'll give it a pour. And guys, this was, you can find this anywhere from low 20s to about 30 bucks a bottle. And around here it was closer to 30, but I'm not complaining. I mean, this is, finding this stuff alone is, it's rare around here. There's only one store that I can think of where I found it, that I've even seen it around here, unless I want to go the next town over. So anyway, let's take a look at this this whiskey. And this is, by the way, aged. From what I've read, they used to have an age statement on there for 7 years. They've since taken the age statement off, but they say it's still somewhere up around 6 or 7 years. Been in the barrel for for a nice little while, and I just want to get started with this, guys. I mean, the smell is already getting to me. It's a great smell, great nose. But on the color, you get medium to dark amber. I mean, you definitely get a good the good barrel char in the in the glass there. So let's take a nose. Oh, man. And on the nose, guys, I mean, you get some vanilla and caramel, definitely some wood in there, some charred wood, a lot of baking spices. Kind of reminds me of Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's coming up before too long here, near the end of the month, and it reminds me of just going to your family's house, or just going wherever you go, and smelling the pies in the oven. Apple pie. You get maybe some cherry in there, cinnamon, spice, a lot of good spices in there, guys, and it's a great nose. This is one of the best bourbons I've nosed on this channel, in these reviews. So anyway, without further ado, guys, I want to take a taste. And on the palate, I mean, you get all those great things. You get some caramel in there. You get some corn sweetness. You get some good spice, some cinnamon spice. Like allspice. A lot of things that make up, all those good holiday, desserts. It's not too sweet though. It's not overly sweet. It just got all those, it's got more of, the nose of those things I mentioned than say the taste. Just some good spice, good wood. It's a nice warm whiskey, guys. I mean, this is the kind of whiskey you have a fire or something and just sipping whiskey by the fire. I mean, this is what you want. It's got a, it's as I said, kind of velvety on the palate. It's got that thickness in the mouthfeel. So, this is everything. I don't know if you guys can see this, but it tends to cling to the edge of the glass there. It's such a great whiskey, and for anywhere between 20 and 30 bucks, I mean, this is a killer deal. And shoot, I mean, if you want Pappy Van Winkle, but you're like me and you can't afford Pappy Van Winkle, shoot, even in the places I've been where they've offered offered it by the drink, you're looking upwards of from what I found, $80 to $100 for a drink of this, or for a drink of Pappy Van Winkle. And it just I've had it one time. Luckily, I didn't have to pay that. But it's just one of those great whiskeys. And this, guys, I mean, this is a great whiskey if you want anything somewhat close to that. They have this, which is the Old Weller Antique at 107 proof. Then they have, which is 53.5% alcohol. And then they have the 12-year Weller, the W.O. Weller. And that one, I mean, that one's hard to find, guys. I haven't even seen that around here. And then at the same place I got this, they also have the Weller, W.L. Weller Reserve, which is, I think, 90 proof. They bottled that in 90 proof. And that's, a little bit less than this. Like I said, this one was, ran me close to $30. The Reserve was about, low 20s, something like that. So anyway, guys, if you can find this stuff, let me take another sip. It's all those flavors in there, guys. In the proof, I've heard some people say, they put a little bit of water in this or something. I mean, personally, I wouldn't want to put any water in this. To each their own. It doesn't make you, any better or worse of a bourbon drinker if you add water or, an ice cube or whatever. But personally, I just like to savor the flavor of this one. Don't want to put anything in it. I just love it as is. And you get, when you're talking about the woodiness, the spiciness, those pretty subtle sweet flavors. Not anything too sweet here. And the vanilla in there. Different fruits that you get in there. This has everything that I want in a bourbon. I mean, this is almost a perfect bourbon for me, especially in the price range. I mean, it's worth every penny. And if you guys see Old Weller or any of their products, just remember, it's like poor man's Pappy. Just Google or YouTube, poor man's Pappy, and you'll see a couple different reviews. And they'll kind of show you, different ways of kind of getting to that Pappy flavor. So anyway, until next time, cheers.